What is going on, everybody? With me, I've got Mr. Nick Ottenbacher live this time. I think this is our second interview for 2020. We did one in 2019.
Yep.
This will be our second time interviewing Nick on the show. And I've got a lot of exciting, actually, he's got a lot of exciting things to share as it relates to his progression as a top listing agent. And that's what today's interview is all about. So, Nick, thanks again for being with me.
Awesome, man. I'm excited to be on.
Awesome. Well, I think you got a great story, and we were talking off air just a second ago about where you're at in 2020, okay? And I've got your numbers right here. So far in 2020, you've taken 40 listings, you've got 18 closed and 11 pending, and you forgot to put in here, you got 16 active listings as we're making this video. Is that right?
Yep, that's correct.
All right, awesome. And so you're coming off of, as we're shooting this, it's September 1, I think, 2020.
Yep.
August was your best month in your real estate career. Is that right?
Yep, that's correct.
Awesome. And that's what this video is about, how to get 10 listings a month. And so I don't want to put words in your mouth, but was it about a year ago that you really started on this path again? Or was it a little bit more than that?
Yeah, so really I think, I started in the business when I was 19, so I've been in the business for about 5-6 years. Right now I'm 24.
Sure.
And it's been kind of a long progression. I think for me, I learned a little bit slower than I think a lot of people do.
Yeah.
Started on a team, went solo agent, was a massive cold caller, and I think my first year I made $6,000, then I made 19 grand, then I made 26, 29. Last year made under 50 grand, and then this year, really pushing, with my current numbers at about 150.
Yeah.
What I'm currently at.
That's amazing. And that's why I wanted to interview you again, because you've been in the business for 5 years. Your trajectory has been incredible. Like, for you guys watching, Nick's progression as a listing agent is something that I talk a lot about here on my channel on YouTube, and that's like this compound effect, right? And you've experienced this. And again, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but I think that when we look at your consistency, and that's really what I want to talk about, because in August, you listed 10 homes in 1 month.
Mm-hmm.
And for a lot of agents out there watching this, they won't list 10 homes in a year. And so I want to walk through your daily schedule, your mindset, how you're able to get up and do that every single day, where maybe the old Nick would have quit, right? Yeah. So walk us through a typical morning. What does that look like for you?
Yeah, so I really follow the same exact routine, Monday through Friday. I even typically take most weekends off. But I typically wake up at 6 a.m. From 6 to 7, I get a workout in.
Love it.
Afterwards, take a cold shower.
Mm-hmm.
And then I get dressed up, and at 7 o'clock, I usually take an hour to make breakfast. Me and my girlfriend play cards, and I'm just hanging out for an hour.
Very cool.
My work day starts at 8 o'clock, and every day from 8 o'clock, and I typically go till about 3, 4, 5 o'clock, depending on the day.
Okay.
I'm only doing one of two things. Number one, I'm on an appointment, and number two, prospecting. So that means, some days I don't go on an appointment. I'm literally on the phones making outbound phone calls at 8 o'clock, 9, 10, all the way to 3, 4, 5 o'clock.
Wow.
And, that's building up that pipeline, and that's setting appointments, in future days.
So, I mean, that's incredible. And so you and I have talked about this before. That type of activity, that type of action takes a certain mindset that people watching this right now can't fathom making that amount of outbound phone calls. They can't prospect for 10 minutes, 20 minutes, 30 minutes a day because it's too painful. The rejection, they can't take that. How are you able to get up every day and continue to push yourself through? Because I'm sure there's days you don't want to do it. Am I right?
Yeah, no, there's certainly days. And I think it's a tough question to ask because a lot of agents are struggling. And then you ask them about their schedule, and they're spending time on a ton of activities that don't produce any income. So for me, I commit to, 40, 50 hours of working a week. And during that 40 to 50 hours, the only way you make money in this business, setting an appointment or on an appointment. So everything else just gets pushed aside and just focused on, the activities that are going to make you money.
Yeah.
And I guess how you wake up every day and keep pushing through it, day after day. For me, I'm 24 years old. I've got this vision of who I want to become, 10, 20, 30 years in the future, not only for me, but for my family.
Yeah.
So for me, it's just a sense of waking up every day and going to work, kind of getting that vision together.
I love it. So you just nailed it. And for you watching, that's a huge takeaway. You're either on an appointment, presenting to take a listing, or looking for one, period, end of story. You're not getting caught up in what we call creative avoidance, worried about what your website looks like, what your business card looks like, this campaign and that campaign. I mean, agents are obsessed with that stuff. How do you, and we call those distractions, you guys can call them what you want. How are you able to stay focused? Is it that you've learned that all that stuff doesn't work, that being the most productive you can be means you're on the phone setting appointments or going on one? Is that just taken you 5 years to learn that?
Yeah, I think it really has taken me 5 years to learn that.
Yeah.
But I think it's just, you think about, a lot of the things, because as a realtor, there's a million things that you could be doing.
Yeah.
Your clients are calling you to, check on this. I need new flyers.
Yeah.
We need a new sign in the yard. And like all these things that are thrown in front of you produce no income. You're getting a million emails from different agents. Agents are calling, about this listing, that listing.
Yeah.
I think it's just, being extremely focused on what that goal is.
Yeah.
And blocking out all the noise and then setting up things that you can do so you're not getting those calls.
Yeah.
You want to make sure you're setting up, a separate number where all those agents are calling you, go straight to voicemail. I don't answer any agent calls or anything like that.
Yeah.
So I think it's just, being focused on what's actually creating income and just accepting, those things that aren't creating income. You just got to cut it out of your schedule, or you're going to be doing those things rather than, other things that you can enjoy, being with family or, doing hobbies and that sort of thing.
Yeah. So we're going to get into the nitty-gritty in just a second, but what changed for you? There's this old Nick, there's the Nick I'm talking to today, and then there's this Nick that you talk about in the future, 10, 20, 30 years from now. Something changed, right? Because certainly, you're having the year of your career, the best year of your career, hands down, right? You would agree with that?
Yeah. Yeah.
You're going to make more money than you've ever made before. And you're still the same biological makeup of Nick Ottenbacher, but you becoming this new person. What changed from how you used to be to who you are today that can sit in a seat, stay dialed in, have monk-like focus, where maybe the old Nick couldn't do that?
Yeah. And I think previously, and I think everybody goes through this,
Yeah.
and you call it shiny object syndrome.
Yeah.
I think before, anytime things weren't working or, for whatever reason I'm having a bad day on the phones, my first thing to do was to look at this new tactic or this new tactic over here. I think at this point, and even right now, like I'm still focused on like the fundamentals, making sure I wake up on time every day, making sure I'm on the phones, not distracted.
Yeah.
So I think it's just more of the basics and really, getting those nailed down, even trying to take it up to that next level.
That's so good. Actually, Nick and I were talking, I think it was yesterday, the day before when we scheduled this. You said something similar to me about the fundamentals. You said, and I forget exactly how you said it, but you said, the better I execute on the fundamentals, the more money I make. And the funny thing is, Nick, all the real estate agents that are watching this now or in the future, they think the exact opposite. They think the easier the task is, or the more the simpler something is, or the more foundational something is, that they're dismissing that for not being valuable. Like waking up on time, like prospecting, like lead follow-up, right? And doing all of those things that you do extremely well. They hear those things, right? They hear they should be role-playing 30, 60 minutes a day. They hear those words, but they don't execute on them. They dismiss the simplicity of things for being not valuable. You're saying the exact opposite. You're saying the more simplistic your schedule, the more foundational your behaviors and actions are built on, the better you keep doing. And the less shiny your business becomes, the more money you make. Is that kind of what you're saying?
No, 100%. And I even think like there's so many things out there, and you could go any other direction.
Yeah.
I don't even think prospecting's the only way that you can make, a great income in this business.
Yeah.
But for me, I chose prospecting, and that's all I do day in, day out. And I think you just got to commit to something.
Yeah, I love it. And I agree. You just have to commit to something. The something can be, and I agree with you, the something can be whatever the agent wants, right? If they're going to be a social media person or a direct mail person or a door knocker or a prospector or whatever they're going to do, a networker, you got to commit to something. I think that you and I both would agree that the biggest mistake that people watching this are making is they're trying prospecting. Mm-hmm. They're not committed to it. They're trying prospecting for 30, 60, 90 days. Oh, that didn't work. Let me go try door knocking. Let me go try direct mail. Let me try Facebook ads. Let me go try, buyer leads. Let me go try Zillow. There's no trying. I think that what you said is commit to one thing for a long period of time, because have you ever listed 10 homes in 1 month before? No. It's only because Nick's been committed to prospecting for a long period of time. So let's break down the schedule. So in the morning, you wake up, you're prospecting. Who are you calling first?
Yep. So I always start with the fresh expireds,
Yep.
Usually from 8 to about 8:15 expired and canceled.
Yeah.
So I'll run through those, 1 to 2 times. And I've got, a few different phone numbers that I'll cycle through so you're not using the same number.
Sure.
After that, going to the fresh for sale by owners, typically from 8:30 to 9.
Yep.
After that, I cycle back through the expireds and the new for sale by owners from 9 to 9:30.
Yep.
From 9:30 to 10. Cycling pretty much back through or flipping over to follow-up.
Yep.
So any follow-ups I might have, direct follow-up calls.
Yeah.
And then at 10 o'clock I flip over to my database nurtures.
Yep.
I do my follow-up absentees and then circle prospecting nurtures that I have. And then for the rest of the day, a lot of times I will either cycle between the expireds and FSBOs and then absentee owners for the rest of the day.
Awesome. So that's great. That's a great prospecting lineup. How do you handle rejection? How do you handle when you talk to a nasty for sale by owner or an expired who's just chewing you out? How do you keep your mind clear? What do you tell yourself?
Yeah, so honestly, all I do is go on to the next number.
Real simple.
I've been cold calling
Yeah.
for like 5-6 years, and there's one person specifically. I had met with them face to face, so I felt like we had a relationship. And I called this guy on the wrong day, woke him up at 8 o'clock on a Saturday, and he went off on me, and that was that was probably the worst it can get.
Yeah.
So now if I'm ever talking and I catch somebody in a bad day, I got no problem clicking, moving on to the next call.
Yeah.
It really just doesn't bother me at this point, just because I know what my goals are.
Yeah.
And I don't think this is too much of an inconvenience.
Yeah.
I actually think I'm calling these people to help them. If they're listed by owner, they obviously want to sell their home.
Yeah.
Or, as an expired listing, at one point they wanted to sell. So just kind of coming from, that mindset that I'm here to help them.
Yeah.
And if I catch them at a bad time, I forgive them for that.
That's really good. That's so good. And you're so right. I mean, that's the thing. We're not bothering anybody. I mean, expired listings, you said that perfectly. They want to sell. They had the wrong agent. By calling them, you're providing a great service to get the property sold. So how many contacts do you typically try to hit every day?
Yeah, so my baseline standard, and this is with my accountability group, if I don't hit this number, I got to write them a check for $1,000.
Love it.
Is $150 for the week.
Okay.
So that's about 30 a day, and that's the bare minimum. Typically, I get around 200 every week, so it's about 40. If I work a 4-day work week, 50 contacts a day.
Love it. That's really cool. All right, so now tell me, and so I want to shift a little bit, talk about the presentation. Mm-hmm. So you set an appointment. What do you do before the appointment? Are you sending a pre-listing packet? Are you emailing them anything up front? What do you do?
Yeah, so before the appointment, I do send them my resume with kind of my pre-listing packet in a sense, and then I send over some comparable sales for them to review. I just like for them to take their time, look at the full listing, all the pictures.
Yeah.
So when we reference them on the appointment, I'm not going over those sales for 30, 40 minutes at a time. So I get that sent over, and then the morning of the appointment, I just give them a quick call, make sure we're still on for today, and very brief.
Yep.
I don't necessarily go through a full
Pre-qualifying script,
pre-qualifying script before.
Yeah.
I'm just focused on getting face-to-face, with as many people.
Absolutely. All right, so cool. And do you email that, or do you go and drop that off at the house?
Yep, so I email that.
You email that. All right, cool. So you go on the presentation. How long are your presentations typically?
Typically around 30 minutes.
Okay.
If I get it signed, 40, 45 minutes.
Okay. So that's a good question. A lot of people that watch these interviews, how much of the time when you're going on a listing presentation, not a preview, listing presentation, will you walk out of with a contract signed versus having to go back and do another appointment?
Yeah, so I typically get my listing conversion at about 70%.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's phenomenal. And then I just want to end with this. When it comes to pricing, when a seller says, Nick, you're a great guy, we really like working with you, but they want to overprice the listing, well, how do you handle that conversation? What kind of communication do you have with the seller to ensure that if you're going to take the listing that you set it up for success?
Yeah, and I think there's some people that are way out of the ballpark, and at that scenario where there's no way that we're not going to get any activity, it's okay to walk away from it.
Sure.
But if we're within range, Brandon, when I list your property and we get up on the market, one of three things is going to happen. Number one, we get a lot of traffic, we get your home sold at a great price, and everybody's happy. The second thing that could happen, we put your house up for sale, we're getting a ton of showings on the home, but we're getting no offers. Brandon, what kind of feedback do you think the market's giving us at that point?
Man, that's a great script. Where'd you get this from?
But the script, so I think it's from start to finish.
Yeah.
It's setting the right expectation
right.
with these folks.
Yep.
And as long as you can do that, you follow up with them, return their calls and everything. Everybody's pretty reasonable.
That's right.
In my opinion.
Yeah, and it's all about, would you agree, it's all about setting great expectations in order to be a listing agent?
100%.
100%. So what last pieces of advice would you give the audience that want to be like you? They want 10 listings. There's nobody, Nick, that you'll ever talk to, that I'll ever talk to, that doesn't want to win in a big way. You get phone calls all the time from videos like this. People saying, how do you do it? How do you do it? How do you do it? Why can't they do it? What advice would you leave these people with to make it happen for themselves?
Yeah, I think, especially in this business, if you got a listing today, you're probably not going to get paid for, 60, 90 days by the time it gets sold.
Yeah.
I think, when you're getting into this business, and there's a million different ways to get business, if you want to jump into the prospecting model, I think you've got to set a little bit longer term goal.
Sure.
You have to give yourself, not the next 30 days to get a paycheck. You really got to set yourself, 3, 6, 9, 12 months and consistently prospect for 90 days straight and not expect anything. Because only at that time you build up so many people where your business is going to explode.
Yeah.
And then once you start getting that business coming in, being able to block off that time where you're consistently prospecting, consistently meeting with people on a daily basis.
That's great advice. That is phenomenal advice. As a matter of fact, I wish they made people listen to that advice before they got their real estate license, because it'd be a lot less people failing, a lot more people succeeding. Yeah. So you're at 40 listings year to date.
Yeah.
How many listings do you think you can end up with? You've got September, October, November, December, 4 months left. Yeah. What's your goal for the rest of the year?
Yeah, so I've been taking, since January, I've taken 4 listings every single month.
Okay.
I took 6 last month, 10 this month.
Wow.
So, it takes us up to 40. For the end of the month, really shooting for that 60 number with the last 3 months. And then going in to next year, really pushing for that 100 number. 100 sale number is kind of that main goal I'm shooting for.
Love it. I love it. Well, dude, thanks again for doing this. You guys follow Nick. He has done what so many agents want to do in this business. He's actually doing the work day in, day out. Thank you so much for doing a live interview in the new studio. I had a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And I'm sure we'll get you back on the show here next year and share with people how you're doing.
Yep. And I got one more last thing for you.
Love it.
So I listened to this thing by Nick Saban in a sermon that he talks about.
Love it.
And he was talking about when he was a young kid, and his dad told him, or he said thank you to his coach for helping him out. And his dad told him, with every thank you comes an IOU. And when I say thank you for helping me, that comes with an IOU to do my very best, to actually do what you're saying, to get the results that I'm looking for. So thank you with helping me out with everything.
Dude, that is so. You just gave me goosebumps, man. So there's a lot more that Nick and I are working on together, and so I'm sure we'll be doing a lot more stuff together in the future. But like always, thank you guys so much for watching. We'll see you in another video very soon.